Eruvin 75. Shtei chatzeros zulif dimizu. You have two courtyards. One is an inner courtyard, one is an outer courtyard that opens up into Lushus Arabim. The people in the inner courtyard have to walk through the outer courtyard to get there. So that situation creates a number of interesting halachas. So the people in the inner courtyard make an eruv among themselves, and the people in the outer courtyard did not make an eruv. Hapnimis muteres. So the pnimis people can carry from inside their house to the courtyard. Vachitzon asura, because they did not make an eruv, so they can't carry from their baitim. Hachitzona v'lo pnimis. If the outer one made an eruv, but not the pnimis, so then the inner one cannot carry because they didn't make an eruv. The outer one is asur shtein asuros because the people on the inside, their right of way is considered as if they lived there. And since since they didn't participate in the eruv with the outside people, they asur the outside people. Now, each chotzer made their own eruv. Zumub teres if they ask, each chotzer can carry them from the bite into the chotzer, but they can't go into each other's chotzer. Here, Rabbi Kiva asers hachitzona, shedrisa saregel osarta. Since that means even though the inner people can carry in their own chotzer, their right of way, the fact that they walk through the outer chotzer, that asers the outer chotzer people, as if somebody else was living there that didn't participate in the eruv. However, chachamim ein dris saregel osarta. Just the right of way passage will not aser the outside chotzer. One of the people in the outside chotzer, when they made an eruv, forgot to participate in the eruv. So, and the inner people made an eruv and nobody forgot there. Hapnimus muteres v'chitzon asura, because one of the outside eruv is defective. Now, if one of the inner ones forgot, but the outer people have a good eruv, you have a problem again with the right of way, shtein asuros. The inner people cannot do it because one guy forgot. The outer people can't do it because the inner people have the right of way. Nosnu eruvan b'mokam echad. Let's say they made a joint eruv between the two chatzeros, and they placed it in the outer chatzer. Now, so if everything was good, they'd all be able to carry within their eruv and within their chotzer and in between each other, because it's all considered like one house. However, if if anyone forgot, whether it's the inner or outer shtein asuros, because it's all viewed like one house. But v'imhayu shel yechidim, if there's only one house in each chotzer, then they don't asur. So, Kiyos Rav Dimi Am Rav Yanai, when Rav Dimi taught this Mishnah, he stated Zu Divrei Rabbi Kiva, because we had in our case, in our Mishnah, many examples of the right of way of the inner people walking through the outer chotzer, asuring the outer chotzer, who says Afilu Regel Muteres B'mkoma. And we said even in the case where the inner people made an eruv, and they can carry from their house into the chotzer, so they are regel hamuteres. But when they walk through the outer chotzer, they still aser, because it's not oseres shelo b'mkoma. Aval chachamim ma'imim kishem sheregel hamuteres eina oseres. So just like, since they're allowed, the inner people are allowed to carry there, when they walk through the outside chotzer, it doesn't prohibit. Kach regel asura eina oseres. So too, let's say they had not made an Eruv in the inside, and they walked, and one of those people walked, and the outside people made an Eruv. So it would also not Asr. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah, is right? If the outer one made an Eruv and the inner one did not, so why should stand Asuras? Mani, Ilem Rabbi Kiva. It can't be to teach me Rabbi Kiva. My area regular Asura. So the inner Eruv didn't, the inner people did not make an Eruv. So it's a regular Asura. But we don't have to tell Rabbi Akiva that a regular Asura prohibits, I feel a regular Muteris Nami. So the Gemara wants to say it's Elalav Rabbanon, and your statement that Kishem Sharegala Muteris Oseres Kach Regala Asura Oseres is not correct. The Gemara says no. La'olam Rabbi Akiva. It is Rabbi Akiva. It's a davar pashut. So the Gemara says Enechanami v'lo zu avzuktani. It's in the structure of not only this but this also. I mean, certainly a case of regular useres, but even a case of regular muteres. Tnan, I'll show you another problem. Here v'zula atzma. Okay, before we go on, what is the schedule for tomorrow?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, back to the Gemara on Ayin Hey Amud Aleph. Here v'zula atzma, we said each Chatzar made their own Eruv. So we said each one can carry in their own Chatzar. Zu muteres b'fnei atzma, v'zu muteres b'fnei atzma. That's only because time of the Irva. Haloi Irva. But if they didn't make an Eruv, shtein asuros. So if they didn't make an Eruv, they would both be Osir. The Hahaitana, the Amar Regala Muteres Eina Oseres. This Tana obviously holds that a Regala Muteres doesn't prohibit, but Regala Oseres, Mani, Ilem Rekivihi, I feel the Regala Muteres Nami Asers, Elalav Rabbonani, Od. Another problem, me to say for Rabbi Kiva, ratio love Rabbi Kiva. So if the safe is Rabbi Kiva, the ratio should not be Rabbi Kiva. So the Gemara says no. Kula Rabbi Kiva. The Chesuri Mechsera. There's some words missing in the Bryce of Achitani. Ervizulatzma, Vizulatzma. Each one made their own Eruv. Zumu Teres B'fnei Atzma, Vizumu Teres B'fnei Atzma. Each person in the Chatzar can carry from their house into the Chatzar. Now, when is that? Now, why don't we say that maybe the outer people cannot carry because the people from the inside have to walk through their area? So we have the right of way problem. So why do we say both are mutter? So we say like this: because the inner people closed off. They made a wall and closed us, so they can't go through to the outer chutzner. That's why both are permitted. Avalo astadaka, and therefore they could just traipse through their door and walk through the outer chutzner to the outside. Chitzon asura, de Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva oisres achitzona. Then they should drisas aregalo seres. Right of way passage prohibits whether it's regala muteris or regala useres. The chachamim in general ain't drisas aregalo seres. And they argue it's a fundamental machlokas between Rabbi Kiva and the Chachamim whether right of way through an area will prohibit, like if you had a house in that area. The halacha is each one made their own eruv. Both are mutter. Not like Rabbi Akiva. Mosif Rabbi Barbaya v'imhayu shel yechidim. We said if there was only one house in each chotzer, ain't tzrichin la'arev, because the whole point of an eruv is if there's more than one people living in the chotzer, then it's viewed as a multiply owned chotzer. You need an eruv between the two people, so it's like one dwelling. But if there's only one house and one chotzer, that's all like one unit. So what's the problem? We're nadayik, and we deduce. Now, Hashel Rabim, implying that if there were multiple houses, tzrichin la'arev, they would have to make an eruv. Each chotzer on its own. And yet it works. Alma regula muteres b'mkoma eno seres, even though it has right of way passage. Now, if they both made an eruv, so it's a regula muteres because they would be allowed to carry from their house to the chotzer. That's the kind that doesn't prohibit. But regula suro. But if they did not make each and one their own individual eruv, it certainly would prohibit on the other. Oseres. Od masiv Ravina. Ravina asks another kasha. They made an eruv on the outer chotzer, but one of the people forgot to participate. And the inner one participated in the eruv as well. We said apnimis muteres. The inner people, they're good, but the chitzona asura, because nobody on the inside forgot. However, shachach echad b'nat plimis v'lo yirev. But what if one of the inner people forgot? So now it's a regular useres, and they have right of way to the outer chotzer shtein asuros. So it's why is that? Time of the shachach. Halo shachach, if the eruv was good, shtein mutaros. Alma regula muteres ena useres, but regula useres useres. So we have multiple proofs that it's only a prohibited regel that asers, but not a permitted regel. Ela kiyasar Rav Yanai. There's really three opinions, not two opinions. Shalosh machloikes badover. Tanakam esaver regula muteres. A permitted regel, that means if they made an eruv and he's permitted where he is, if he walks the right of way, he doesn't prohibit. However, regula suras oseres. But if, for example, the inner people did not make an eruv, so he was prohibited to carry from the house into the chotzer, if he tries to walk out through the chotzer on the outside where they did make an eruv, he would prohibit. Rabbi Kiva Sura makes no difference. Afila regula muteres oseres. He says any right of way, any right of passage will aser whether it's a regula muteres or regula oseres. And Rabbanan Basroi Savri, Kishem Sheregel Muteres Enoseres Kak Regula Oseres Enoseres. They are the most lenient. They say no right of passage will prohibit. Then the Gemara quotes the case. Nosnu Eruvin b'mokom echad. They made a joint eruv between the two chatzerus, and they placed it on the outer chatzer. We said if you made now a joint eruv between everybody, so we don't care who forgets, whether it's an inside person who forgets, an outside person forgets, it will always prohibit. Now the Gemara doesn't understand what it means that you placed it in a mokom acher, in a different location. Simen chitzon atzmo vayis yichidor ravina lo mishkach b'fnei. Arma v'damarav. What is the mokom acher chitzona? Where do they place the joint eruv? They place it in the outer chotzer. Umay korile mokom echad. Why do they call it mokom echad? Mokom amyuchad l'shteim. It's a place that is jointly used. Because think about it, the pnimis people need to use the outer chotzer because they walk through it. Of course, the outer people live there. So it's a mokom amyuchad l'shteim. And Tanya Namahachi. If they made a joint eruv, they put it in the outside courtyard. So then it's asur, because the two chatzeros are viewed as one dwelling. They made a joint eruv, but they placed it on the inside chatzer. Now we understand that. The inner people can't carry because one of the inner people forgot to participate. The outer people can't carry because the regel, the rite of passage, will assert it. However, if one of the chitzona people, because remember, Rabbi Kiva doesn't care. In this case, the inner chotzer is a regula muteres because They made an Eruv, and it's a good Eruv, and he's allowed to carry from his house to his chutzner. But Rabbi Kiva makes no distinction between a regular muteris and a regular oseris. In this case, where the Eruv was placed on the inside, so they can carry. So only the outside can't carry. Because one of the outside people forgot. Why is the inner muteris? They can close their door. We have nothing to do with you people in the outside chutzner. We have an Eruv, so we're gonna be fine. Now, Rabbi Kiva Nami, why wouldn't Rabbi Kiva hold of that Teichad Dashu to Shamish? Omer lei Eruv Margila. The Eruv sort of combines them, since they're doing a joint Eruv. So why should the Rabbi Kiva? Why should there be a difference between the Rabbi Kiva and the Chachamim? Rabbanan Nami Eruv Margila. Because the Amr letekonishit ficha v'lo to the inside people can say, you know what, we participated with you to help us, not to hurt us. And if it's going to hurt us, we don't want anything to do with you. So Rabbi Kiva Nami Tem letekonishit ficha v'lo. You can't have it both ways, says the Gemara. Rabbi Kiva has the same problem. Because Rabbi Kiva says, no, the Amr lo mevatlinan lach rishusi. We are mevatel our rishusi. Rabbanan ein bitul rishus bechotzer l'chotzer. Rabbi Kiva says you can be mevatel from one to the other, and the Chacham don't allow that. Lema Shmuel Rabbi Yochanan beplukti Rabbanan Rabbi Kiva kamiflagi. Let us say therefore, that Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan are arguing the same concept. This Shmuel Amar Rabbanan Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Kiva. Regarding this issue of whether you can be mevatel rishus from chotzer to chotzer. Arba Shmuel, no. Another I feel Rabbi Kiva. I can say my din even according to Rabbi Kiva. Ad kan like Rabbi Kiva hacha. You have one inner chotzer and an outer chotzer. The asr nadadi. Aval hasam, where there were two side by side chatzeiros, not inner chatzeiros. Mika asr nadadi. They don't asr on each other. So maybe I wouldn't say the din over there. Rabbi Yochanan anadami I feel Rabbana. I don't have to say my din according to Rabbi Kiva because I can look at Rabbana hacha. You chotzer people, until you mevatl your rishus, I'm going to aser on you. And they sort of force the issue. But there's no isser. So there's no reason to say that the machlokes Rabbi Yochanan over there by two side by side chatzers is the same as here. However, the Mishnah said, if only one individual house opened up into each chutzner, then we say they're both mutter. On Rav Yosef Tani Rabbi, hayu shlosha asurim. But let's say two people lived in one chutzner and one in the other, then they prohibit. On Rav Bibi lo titzai sulei. Ana amrita ni Allah. Umishmei Rav Barav amrita. You said just the opposite to us. You have more than one person in the chitzona, and that's going to aser. I'm Rav Yosef Moed Avram, like, wow, Rabim b'Rabi ichlifli. Am I making a mistake between Rabim and the word Rebbe? Ushmul Amar Lo'ila mutaros. No, it remains mutter even if they have two in one. Unless you have two people on the inner and one on the outer, because then when you have two people, they will asr on each other, and that's a regular oseris. And even the Chachamim held that the right of way of passage of a regular oseris would be mevatel. A Gentile living in a chutzner is as if multiple people live there. He's not considered one person. If a Jew lives there, he doesn't answer demand the yada yada. The one who doesn't know, and the one who knows, and the one who doesn't know, he thinks that there's an eruv there. He rented it out. Stam Nachri, if he would have rented it out, everybody would know about it. If we don't know about it, must be he didn't do it. Amir Amar Shmuel. Asara batim zelif nemizeh. 10 houses that open up into each other. The inner houses has to go through all 10 houses to get out to the chutzner, to get out to the Rosh Hashanah. Pnimi nosen es erivo v'dayo. The inner person places his erev in the chutzner, and that's enough. The outer people don't have to do anything. It's that they're living in like a beis shar, in like a gateway, and they all are sort of subservient to the inner house. However, that even the outer person has to put an eruv there too. I understand chitzon beis sharhu. The chitzon doesn't have a beis shar. We mean chitzon shel pnimi. We mean the immediate house that's on a little bit outside, that's on the way towards the outside. That chitzon, not the outermost chitzon, the chitzon that's going on the way to the outside. B'may kamifli. What's the machlokes? Ma'asar beis shar the yochid shmei beis shar. Like a guardhouse, a house that serves as a guard, even if it belongs to one person, is still called a shar. It's not called a bias. Umar Savar lo shmei beis shar. Now the Mandover says it's not called a beis shar. Amrav Nachman, Amrav Barbu, Amrav Shtei Chatzeros. You have 2 Chatzeros. Ushlosho batim b'neim. 2 of the Chatzers one of the Chatzers has 2 houses. One of them only has 1. Zeh ba derech zeh v'nois neruva b'zeh. V'zeh ba derech zeh v'nois neruva b'zeh. A person from one Chatzer comes through the right of way next to the house, and he puts his eruv there, in the middle one. And the different chutzner comes and puts it next to the house, next to his chutzner, also in the middle one. And I guess you have 3 chutzneros. Each one has his own bias. So they're going to create a situation where the middle chutzner is like a beis shar. We'll continue this. We'll review that tomorrow when we learn at 4:00.